Aye.
First things first, where's your shitter? I've got a turtle head poking out. I'm not kidding. I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey. Oh, it's squidgy. Oh, Christ, I'm getting all emotional from it, you know?
Sweating. Gather up, bleeding more, bleeding terminal. Jesse off looking stunner. New spooky son, milk drinking. Soy face, still pitting in sniffling where my walk. Vile,
What is up, Gorilla Nation, and welcome your butts back to a brand new edition and a brand new episode of the Division 2 Build Doctor series. Hi, I'm Relentless, and before we hop into today's video, if you would be so kind to smash that like button, ground and pound that subscription button, and reach up there, trigger the bell, and turn on post notifications, so that way you know each and every time a video that is uploaded and a stream goes live. Now, in today's video, we're going to be taking two individual pieces, and they happen to be exotics, and just more or less touching on the strong points of both, and in certain areas where one has the edge over the other. Now, I'm not going to go into great length and specifics on the synergies of everything in the division that works with both, because that would just take way too long and make the video way too long, and I doubt most people would watch it because they already predominantly know. But starting out first, let's go over the Ridgeways for those that do not know what Ridgeways does. It is the Leona Lewis chess piece, because she came out with the song You Keep Bleeding Love, and its talent is a Bleeding Edge. Shooting enemies within 15 meters applies bleed to the target, just like Trauma does. Except for Trauma will blind and bleed, depending on where you hit your shots, whether it be a headshot or a body. The Ridgeways is either head or body, and it applies the bleed if they're within 15 meters. And for those bleeding targets that scale from 1 to 5, 5 being its max, you get 48% armor repair for every second the enemy is bleeding. So if you look at the stats of the Catharsis mask real quick, and just do a quick comparison, after you consume the purge and taking 30 bullets, which will create that 30 stacks, you get purged, and you get a healing cloud that restores 5% of your max armor. So in comparison, you only have to apply bleed to 2 targets that's within 15 meters to get a 1% bonus armor restoration by way of Ridgeways compared to the Catharsis mask. And then it's very easy to apply bleed to 5 targets within 15 meters, specifically in PvE, because you get rushed and surrounded quite easily, and you're able to apply that quite frequently and get that total of the 48% restoration or repair of your armor. And it's in my opinion, it has the edge here over the Catharsis mask, just because you're able to repair your armor in a lot more larger quantities than the Catharsis mask. Now, the mask, on the other hand, I guess as an outlier in comparison to the Ridgeways, which is somewhat similar, just kind of like Dr. Seuss dumbed down kind of way, as far as when it comes to the repair of your armor. But while you're building up or taking that damage of those 30 and getting to 30 stacks, you are getting a 1% weapon damage into its max stack. So you can essentially get 30% of extra weapon damage, but yet you're taking that incoming damage at the same time. And if you're not quite there, NPCs can be really, really hard hitting at times, especially those shotgunners that can snipe you from 2 blocks down the road. But, in certain situations, as these being standalone pieces and not, being synergized with other talents and whatnot, it can be quite hard to build those 30 stacks up if you don't have the right talents to accentuate the Catharsis mask. And what I'm more or less pointing out is such things like, say, Bloodsucker, for instance, that gives you bonus armor when you kill an enemy. The percentage of armor you get on kill can also help you out. But where it really shines at is when you add it to the new Heartbreakers gear set, because you can ding them in the noggin, not even have to run a pulse, and they're pulse for 5 seconds. And that in turn, you can build stacks of bonus armor on top of it. So in comparison with the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, where you can repair 48% of your armor easily, here you're only getting 5% of your max armor for 10 seconds, and to all allies in that cloud. Now, sometimes you might have like one, possibly two friendlies there with you that could, help benefit from the cloud. But think of it as like you're only giving them an equivalent of, let's say, 2 chems of healing at their feet. So in comparison, like 200k armor potentially, as long as they stay in that cloud. And if you're getting hit by NPCs that have grenade launchers and whatnot, that you're going to be taking, damage, or they got the ton of hardings that's rushing you, going to beat you with a hammer, then it can be kind of hard to stay in that cloud to receive that full benefit of that healing cloud, which is, keep in mind, only 5% versus the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, where just simply applying bleed to those and not having to stay in that single area in that cloud to receive it, you can just put them on bleed and then scamper and shimmy away, duck, dodge, dip, whatever you got to do, ballerina flip your way into safety. And during that whole entire time, if you say have at least 5 targets on bleed, then you're going to be repairing 48% of your total armor, which I think, as I've already stated, that Ridgeway's Pride, when it comes to repairing your armor, has the edge versus you do get, a little minimum amount of, a bleed status effect in conjunction with, say, like the talents of Sadist or a backpack with Wicked on it, to where you can amplify your damage to targets that are on status effect and kind of accompany that. But if you're using the new gear set, the Heartbreaker, then you don't want to put your backpack there with, Wicked or Creeping Death on it, just for the simple fact of you would probably predominantly want to use the backpack, so that way you can, instead of getting 1%, you can change it to the 2% bonuses when it comes to the Heartbreaker. And what I mean by that, I'll go ahead and show you. It is called the Cold. Increased total bonus armor gained per stack of Heartstopper from 1% to 2%. So in a sense, you're gaining much more bonus armor and repairing 48% of your depleted armor at the same time. But if you're only, like, say, a quarter of your armor down, or right at, say, 40% or whatnot, then essentially putting 5 targets on bleed, you're back to full armor. And if then, once you are, then you lay waste, like, say, with the ACS 12, and build stacks up really, really fast. And you've not only repaired all your armor, but also you're building stacks of bonus armor on top of it. And then in comparison, but with using Catharsis Mask, you gotta stay stationary in that cloud in order to receive, any kind of healing effect. And it's only 5% for that stack of 30, and then it's purged. And of course, it's kind of like a rinse and repeat thing. But that's a lot of taking 30 bullets, trying to survive, staying in a cloud at the same time. Now, you can do it. I've seen other content creators, put it with, like, say, like the likes of Adrenaline Rush. And they have, like, multiple NPCs shooting them, but the build they show doesn't even have Adrenaline Rush on it, because most people that are new to the game or whatnot they don't recognize. It's like at the bottom of the screen, like when you're taking damage, and it shows the person's health bar or whatnot. I'm in an area where I can't show, so I'll just move out here till I can pull my weapon and do so. But see, where it has, like, the talent procs at the bottom, will show you and tell you what's being procced in order to get the effect that's being applied to said talent, to agent, regardless of what talent it is, whether you're taking damage or dishing out damage, of what's triggered and what's proccing and what's working. And it would always have the symbol of the adrenaline rush on there, which is, when more enemies come around you, when it becomes like one enemy around you, you get bonus armor, and then gain additional stacks for the second and third, so forth, and it can really, stack up quickly. But in that video, they're not using, in the build itself, Adrenaline Rush, but they're showing footage of said supposed build, but the footage of the build supposedly being in use is using Adrenaline Rush and not what the actual content creator is using and saying what he's using in the build. So just be aware of that, and when you do see gameplay footage or whatnot, just look below their health bar and their numbers of ammo and their grenades to those little orange boxes down at the bottom, or whatever the color they are on your screen. I'm partial colorblind, apologies. And that'll tell you what talents and whatnot are being procced and what's being used. So be aware of that. So it becomes a personal choice between Ridgeways and the Catharsis mask. Personally, I prefer the Ridgeways because, it goes back to my heritage of the Division 1 and using the Predator's Mark build, just applying a status effect, and then building on top of that, such as you see here is just a build I'm just playing around with and works out really well in Countdown. As far as building stacks, repairing my armor, and survivability without having to sacrifice those stacks, because no one's actually going to stand there and let NPC shoot them repeatedly, for no apparent reason. You want to do damage, kill the NPCs so you can move on to the next objective, so you can actually complete Countdown or complete whatever mission you're on. So it's just personally what you'd rather go for. If you're going for like an armor regen build, I would say the Catharsis mask would shine over the Ridgeways, just for the simple fact of Ridgeways is 3 reds. This already has armor on it, incoming repair, and armor regen. And if you're proficient in your healing skills, then that can further boost your incoming repairs and what heals you're receiving from them. And then with any amount of armor regen on there is just going to amplify that effect where you're regenerating your armor quite faster than just using the Catharsis mask by itself and not relying on any kind of skills or further armor regen than what's rolled on it. The Ridgeways would be more of a crit type build that you would want to use, and applying a status effect, and then getting that more chunk of armor repair for multiple enemies because you're in the thick of it. I would say if you're more DPS centric, when it comes to running around, getting in, going all Rambo, as I, make the noise, and just go rushing in there. Yeah, that's why I like Ridgeways, because I can instantly apply those bleed stats effect, and while I'm taking damage, I'm getting, my armor repaired at the same time. And if I'm using the new gear set, the Heartbreaker, then I'm putting bonus armor on top of that, and if I have my pokey heal, then you can stack things up quite frequently. So in my opinion, if I had to pick one particular winner just on the individual pieces without stacking any other talents from any other pieces or weapons on it, I would still give it to Ridgeways, just because you get a more significant amount of armor repair than what you would get from the Catharsis mask. The Catharsis mask, you can, get more damage out of it per se, but, you're lacking those attribute reds to kind of accompany that to further your damage output. So it's kind of like a give and take, situational, personal preference. But that's just my thoughts and opinion. Use it how you see fit. There's a plethora of things that you can try out. Go and forge your own path. Don't just copy and paste what somebody else done, because you see these different builds coming out daily or whatnot, and you must be thinking, well, the smart people in the community out there, like, how much time did you actually and effort did you actually put into testing said build if you're putting a different build video out every single day? It's like, are you just doing like an hour testing while you're getting pieces and put it together, and that's it? You're not really doing the due diligence of going through every single thing of the build and make sure it's working as intended and in every situation, and not just one particular situation while you're collecting materials kind of thing. So do your homework. Just don't take everything as a grain of salt and not as Bible fact. Go out and test things on your own. And I would just say, if you don't understand how a talent works, then I would say, look into it. Or, if I'm streaming or whatnot, or in any of my video, you can simply ask me, and I don't mind answering in those type situations and formats. By all means, if I can help, then I will do so. But I think I've rambled on enough. Appreciate all the love and support. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. And as always, be a better person tomorrow than what you were today. We'll see you guys and gals later. God bless.